And I've watched people struggle in the pandemic to like create anything. They're just like a deer in headlights. And like for me, it's like boot camp. I'm just like, oh fuck, dude. Like I'm home. At least I get to work from home. I can turn over and like take up the fucking guitar and the synthesizer and like make whatever the fuck I want. And like, you know, that's how I'm like yielding shit and just growing my skill. And like I've never had time to do that. I'm always like racing to get home from a shop when I'm working. And it's like here I'm just plotting, dude. I'm just plotting and scheming, and it's like, it makes it. I feel good about it.
Nice.
I feel good about it. Like I never stop making shit, and when I do, it fucks me up. So, yeah.
Well, there you go. Welcome, everybody, to the podcast. This is Casting for Two, as always, hosted by yours truly, me. My name is Chris. Welcome, everybody, to episode number 431. Exciting episode for you all today. Of course, I have to say this because I say it in every episode. Literally, I think I'm going on a year now. Be kind and courteous to others. If you see... here's the thing. I'm going to let you know a little secret. We're all human. Each and every one of us, which makes us connected in some way. Sure, we may have different backgrounds. We may have different skin tones and ethnicities and values, but we are all human, and we need to treat each other with respect. And, of course, if you're going to go out into the world... You know, I know everybody's getting all excited because it's summer, but if you don't feel safe, if you are worried, you can always wear a mask, you know? That is an option. Nobody's going to think twice about that. So if you are like me and you're not too comfortable going out into the world, wear a mask and be kind and courteous to others, all right? Message of the podcast. My guest today is a phenomenal musician, writer, just all in all, a wonderful person. Brandon Pierce is on the show. He's on the podcast, and I had a fascinating chat with him. I could listen to talk all day, and just hearing his views and just having a nice go back and forth with him. He's part of the band Glaare, which has an album out right now, a brand new album, called Your Hellbound Heart. It's available right now. I recommend people go and pick it up. It's an awesome punk album. But Brandon and I just had a phenomenal chat, and I hope you guys enjoy, all right? So everybody sit back, relax, and Brandon, take it away. Part of me, I love when people talk about the podcast and say, oh, you guys are amazing. And I'm just sitting here, what, you guys? It's all me. I do everything.
I know.
I would love a team. I would love to do less.
I know, man. And I feel bad for podcasts because I really love the medium so much.
Yeah.
And I've been as annoying as they are sometimes. I've been following the last podcast on the Left people for a long time, and I've watched their like network grow on their terms, and it's so fucking sick. Like, you know, and that's so rare, you know, that they really hit their stride and their audience has grown. And like, I've been with them from the beginning, and you know, I hope that happens because there's so many good podcasts and they're just so DIY.
Right.
I listen to a lot of like, so I'm a pretty like stone cold Marxist. So like I
Oh,
listen to
okay.
a lot of like revolutionary rap and shit,
Yeah,
left
yeah.
radio all fucking day. And like they're really small mom and pop ops, and I'm always like donating to their Patreon, and I feel so bad because I like some of these people are fucking brilliant, dude. And like,
Yeah.
you know, like and there's all these like fucking trans people on there. It's like so inspiring. It makes me so happy, but I'm like, I know you're not making a living, you know. But I love the medium. I think podcasting's great. A couple of my friends have like a metal podcast that I did not that long ago,
Yeah.
that I grew up with, and I truly really love podcasting so much. I listen
Yeah.
to it more than I listen to music.
That's.
I
I
I
feel like I
do.
listen. I feel like I listen to more music, but still, I love I love the medium, and I just love the fact that, um, yeah, it's so easy to do. You know, it's not like this is rocket science.
Right.
If you watch a YouTube tutorial, you can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you ask people. I'm always happy to give advice out to people and just like, yeah, this is what I do. But
Yeah.
it's that thing of where I remember when the pandemic hit, people would ask me, "Are you afraid of all these podcasts?" I'm like, "No. What
Fuck no.
I don't this I wasn't being mean or anything, but I was like, what do I care if there's another podcast? I mean, it's great.
No.
I started podcasting in general 10 years ago
Oh, okay.
when no, you know, podcasts weren't a thing. They
Right.
were
They're
a little
new.
bit of it. They were new, but then
Yeah.
some switch happened, and out of nowhere, I was looking for a job, and it hit me like, oh, podcasting is now a people are looking for podcasts. They're looking for engineers. They're looking
Yeah.
for all this, and I'm just, does that
Yeah.
mean the thing that I've been doing is now a viable job? Does that give
It
me?
is.
Yeah, and that's when
Yeah.
it all struck me like, oh, I can look for podcasting jobs now. Okay,
Well,
so
I knew it would be because I've been kind of there since the beginning,
mhm.
and its form, and like I lived by Mark Maron, so I always
Oh,
saw him
okay, yeah,
around in the morning, and I knew he had a big push. Like he
oh yeah,
really brought it into the mainstream, and his model's really good, and like I knew he was really helping like some of the smaller guys along, and I saw the form it's been evolving so much,
hmm,
and I think it's just so great, and it reminds me of pirate radio,
yeah,
and like the entire format of mainstream radio and journalism is so fucked up that the
hmm,
podcasting has literally picked up the slack, dude. You know, and it's like I just listen to shit all fucking day. I love it.
hmm,
I love it. It keeps me entertained, and like, you know, now I know personally I'm friends with some podcasters, and like I've done some design work for them, and like I've also been consulting people because some of their audio engineering is dog shit,
mm,
and as an engineer, I'm like trying to give them tips.
you're
You know what I
right.
mean? I'm like, you fucking compression, dude. Like,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
clipping, and
yeah,
you're clipping, and like you can do it for pretty cheap if you just know what you're doing. So I've consulted some people on it. They're not necessarily doing it that well yet, but like I did actually apply for like part-time engineering and editorial for a podcast that I like, but they never wrote me back. But I was like, literally save your fucking podcast, just like write like a couple really easy tweaks, you know.
yeah,
Yeah, so like I hear that. One of my favorite podcasts is this Turn Leftist, like Marxist podcast, and
mhm.
their fucking audio engineering is dog shit. It makes me so mad. And they won't respond to me. I'm like, dude, just send me a session on spec. I'll
Yeah,
fucking EQ it and compress it for you and send it back to you. And
yeah,
I'm still waiting. I'm like, I'll do it for fucking free for one episode. Try it out.
yeah,
Like, your shit's all over the place. Like, it's muddy. I want to help you because the podcast is so good.
yeah,
You know, and like you pro level, and even with last podcasts on the left, early days, their shit sounded fucked. And like now it's so good.
yeah,
You know, like they got better as they went. I actually saw an interview with Marcus, who's like the lead, and he's like, dude, I had to get better at engineering it, and like you could tell that arc that's in there. You know, it's like it's gonna keep getting more professional, but I adore it, dude.
yeah,
I adore it. I'm hitting my mid late 30s now, and like, you know, it's it's just what I listen to. It's just, you know, and like I got my little brother onto it. He's a fucking Zoomer. You know, he's like, he got into socialism and shit. So we like listen to the same shit. And like, he's just like, damn, I love it. I'm like, yeah, it's podcasting to shit, dude. It's like, you know.
Yeah, no. It really is, and and I mean, getting me even interested in podcasting, I have to give a shout out to the interviews Howard Stern would do, because I love Howard Stern, and the way he would do interviews, I was just like, that's what I want to do. Let's just have a chat and see where it goes and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, and as transgressive and like some of it didn't age well. It's very self-deprecating. It makes fun of itself, and you know, like I understand there's some insensitivity there, but like we need a certain amount of transgressive in culture as long as it's not harmful. You know, and because it's important, dude. Otherwise, everything just becomes water, and it's lame. And so we need a little bit. I grew up on Howard Stern, you know, and I also grew up as a mother breadwinner, you know, who like, you know, kept me straight. And, you know, I'm in a band full of women, and like, you know, it's entirely possible to have both as long as one's not disgustingly harmful, you know, and Howard's teetered, but like the model is great. I mean, it's funny as fuck, dude. When the E show, when we were kids, like all that shit's amazing, dude. It's amazing. It's good entertainment. Like you can't deny it. You know what I mean?
Right. And he knows, you know, he knows what to do. He knows how to put on a show, even if it's just him being super, you know, casual and natural. Like he gets it.
And I'm a punk. Like as transgressive as that stuff was, like all good punk was very anti. You know, it was very against things that were harmful. You know what I mean? Even if it was like a little subversive and like hard to get, like it was rejecting things that were you know, damaging. You know what I mean? Like it was like it would maybe like mock them and stuff and seem like they were being, you know, tasteless, but like it was for a good reason. It was to illustrate the point. And I put Howard in there too to some degree. I mean, some of the shit he does is pretty fucked up, but you know, but like you take it with a grain of salt. You know that. It's like you don't have to love him, but you have to admire the craft. Like I think things should be transgressive and ugly sometimes. You know, like it just should be, and you shouldn't take away the parts of it. Like, well, he's just this one way, because like literally fucking like everything gets mocked. Like every fucking thing gets mocked. I have the same problem with people that don't like Dave Chappelle. Like in my mind, Dave Chappelle is like in my top 3 favorite, like, you know, contemporary live philosophers, because that's what he is.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know,
for sure.
Yeah, and it's like it's like, you know, I know like it upsets the trans community, and like I'm hyper protective of that too, but it's really not. Like when you actually read into what's happening, he's not. He's quite literally not. Like he's saying things that are funny about it, but he's also saying, why would you fucking hate these people? Why do you do this? And it just drives me a little nuts when people overly PC. You're missing the message. You're missing, like Rachel and I, like, dude, he's a big deal here. Like if we were into God, it would be like Dave Chappelle and Slavoj Žižek. Like we just, you know, like yeah, it's a big deal.
You're saying how things were messy. Is that how you feel about music as well? Do you think music, you know, the music you make anyway, do you feel like there has to be some sort of raw energy or messiness to it, or does it have to be perfect? Yeah.
No, fuck yeah. It's got to be messy. It's got to be messy. Okay. So this record, we were on tour with this band Searing. We were getting set to go out with them for like 17 days back in early 2018, early 2018. We were going out and we were supporting our first record. And my wife, who also sings, Rachel, her mother had passed away 7 years ago, actually, this month. But 2 days before we left on tour, her father had also died. She had a very complicated relationship with him, so he died.
Yeah.
And right before we were getting ready to leave, like we were rehearsing ourselves to fucking death, running the set military style, whole thing, and she found out, and it was very catastrophic, and we had a very, very, like, both a very, like, in, you know, cathartic experience with a tour, but, like, in that it was starting to rip our marriage apart on tour.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time we got home, things had just erupted and exploded, and she left. And, yeah, she left. And I was in a very confused place.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing I knew what to do was I had to stop working for a second, and I started waking up in the morning and writing because we couldn't communicate, and we didn't talk for a little while, and like a month in, I started showing her songs and demos, and the only way we could really communicate was to write these songs together. So it was a really painful experience where she was talking to me lyrically while we were working on these songs, and they just started pouring out. Yeah. And you could feel like my vulnerability. Like there's a song called Terminator 2. Mm-hmm. I think that was the first one where it really felt like what I was going through, and she came over and fucking nailed it. And it was just subsequently the same thing. We just started nailing the songs. And it was like we were broken up, and we were writing simultaneously, and things were pretty contentious between us. And it was difficult to feel how the band was going to kind of move on, and we spent a year basically broken up. And, oh, sorry, hold on.
Yeah.
And, so yeah, it was very hard.
Yeah.
It was very hard, and it took a long time to mend. So there's this vulnerability that's kind of throughout the whole thing, and it flip-flops between, like, actually some of the more positive or optimistic moments in there, and also just, like, utter heartbreak and complicated thing. And allegorically, what my wife did, which was fucking brilliant, is she started taking the actual lyrical content from, like, iconic kind of 80s B horror films and all this shit, and weaving it into the story of what was going on between us, which is why I chose the title Hell Down Heart as Hellraiser, because it's like a big fan favorite. And
yeah,
I it was like my heart was on fire. Like both of them were. We were both in some sort of hell. It was like a purgatory, and so it came out really special.
You mentioned everything about the writing of the album. Is it hard for you to listen to the album and relive a lot of those memories?
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it like definitely for both of us, and like it was that album that was like it was just a fucking bitch to make, dude. It took so long, and on top of that, like we were. So what had happened is, I won't announce like the specifics of it yet because it hasn't come out, but we signed to a bigger label, under the condition that we could still release this with Weird Son, which was the smaller Belgium label, like boutique. I mean, it's like my favorite label in the world.
Yeah.
But we knew that, like, to get the reach and the distance, that we're gonna have to move up. Yeah. And what had happened is this label flew out and saw us at this Psycho Vegas thing. And they wanted to sign us, and we went back and forth on it for a while, like not knowing what the fuck to do. Like, basically like our third founding member was leaving the band. Like this whole like separation thing was a lot for him to deal with, and it was understandable, but you know, it was hard. Everything was hard. Like we didn't know if it was going to survive. You know, it just became a lot of things. And at the end of the day, it just got really messy. And since the bigger label was there, we're like, well, fuck, dude, let's just do it because, you know, maybe it's going to salvage things. And it got messy because, you know, like there's a big contract. We're not necessarily cognizant of how of how to navigate a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, we figured it out. It just took a really long time. The other thing was because we wanted to. This was supposed to be an EP, and pandemic hit, and basically the small label was like, dude, as a lot of people may or may not understand, the cost that it makes to make an LP versus EP are exactly the same, but you're getting less. Yeah. And so the smaller label was like, dude, we need to get the reach. I had kind of some of the songs, and then a couple of our really close friends died. So, like, I had been writing songs, and I showed them, and I was like, okay, I think I can get back into the headspace to make this album. I had put it behind me.
Yeah.
So it pushed it back quite a bit, and then the pandemic hit, pushed it back even more, and it just became one of those impossible records. And at this point, I'm just like, this is some Fleetwood Mac bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, it just is. You know, like, and that's fine. You know, I was overdue to make that record. Like, I was overdue to just struggle to make something. And then I also took it upon myself to mix most of it. Like, I have this, like, I kind of have like a partner in a lot of like audio stuff and production I do. His name's Chris King, and he's one of my favorite people in the world. And he plays in this band called Showers, and he's my fucking hero. And he's like such a good engineer and mixer producer, and like he's taught me so much. But I kind of realized that I was gonna have to mix a lot of this stuff, like not just for financial purposes, but vision-wise, I had to step up to the plate, and like I sunk a bunch more in my like recording setup, and I did a lot of the stuff at the house. Just for a lot of reasons. It was just like aesthetically, it wasn't where it was supposed to be. We had to keep retracking parts and vocals and making them fit, and it just wasn't working. Like we tracked this shit all over the place, and at the end of the day, the large majority of it was tracked at the house, like where Rachel and I live, and you know, it was just a pain. It was just literally pushing a boulder up a massive fucking hill. Yeah. And and that boulder was also just like crushing, crippling depression for me. Just after everything we went through, I was like, I don't want to make another sad album. This album's sad as fuck. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? It just is. Yeah. But at least it authentically is sad. I didn't want to play stuff like that anymore. I wanted to take it in a different direction, but I was like, I guess this is what it's supposed, or authentically, this is what's supposed to happen, and it was just a lot of delays and shit, and I'm super proud of it now. And then, literally at the end of the day, like, I mean, we got some guest vocals, like my friend Foie Gras, Iffy, she came and sang, and her boyfriend came and sang, or played guitar on the same song because a mutual friend of ours passed away last year. And it was the last song I wrote, and it's called 2 Cents on there. It's about this guy, Thomas McMahon, and he was a videographer that pushed me to do a lot of video. We have the same, he was a motion designer and film director of like videos, and he was always pushing me to do the same thing, and he killed himself, and it was just fucking devastating. Yeah. And so I had to write a song. While I was writing it, I more or less realized it was for his like widow, like his common law girlfriend, because, you know, like she was there. She was left there, to deal with this mess, and like all I could do was think about her. And so the four of us got together and 2 Cents was the last thing that we wrote towards the end of the record, and I didn't want it to just be sad. I wanted it to be, I wanted it to be for her, and less than him because he's gone. So there was just a lot of heavy shit in it, It was just really heavy. And the first one, dude, like, my mother-in-law died for To Deafen Day, which was the first one. She died, and then we wrote that record. So it's like we have 2 consecutively heavy fucking records.
Right.
And it's surreal. Like, I feel like that, if you want to call it goth and stuff like this, I think people are just like inherently sad, and they make inherently sad music, and they do their best impression of The Cure or Cocteau Twins or whatever the fuck. But I don't feel it when I listen to it. I feel like it's cold and it doesn't have any life. And it's like, if that's what you're doing, good on you. And I know that sometimes that shit just gets popular because it's by the numbers and that's what people want.
Right.
And I don't want that. Like, I want people to dance through how sad it is. I want you to dance, and I want you to feel something, and I want you to dance, and I want you to dance in the bloodbath. You know what I mean? And the other thing is, like, I'm a drummer that writes. Like, it was another weird thing. Like, my band is all women. It's like the coolest thing ever for me. Mm-hmm. It's the coolest thing ever for me because, like, I've been in bands with all dudes for so long, and these women will kick the fucking teeth out of every dude.
Yeah.
It's so rad. They're more prepared. They're more upset. You know what I mean? They're
right,
like,
yeah.
they're just, they're more, it's so inspiring for me to be the only doofus back there, like, behind the drums. But, like, I sort of am the chief, like, songwriter as far as the tracks and production go. But, like, everything they add to it just makes it so much better, and it's so, like, inspiring for me. It's so inspiring for me to see them, like, just fucking crush it, dude. Like, the last tour we went on, it was with Ceremony. It was, like, fall of 2019, pre-pandemic. Mm-hmm. And it was our first tour with Marissa on bass and backup vocals. And we played with Wax Idols, like, a bunch of years ago. And I remember seeing her, and I knew she lived in LA. And I was like, dude, we got to poach this person. She's amazing. And we did it. And, thank God for that. And I have Rex. Yeah. Who's, like, this ripping guitar player. Like, I got so lucky. Like, that lineup is really cool. Like, we had all dudes before that, and, like, we phased them out sort of one by one. And, like, there's the entitlement and shit, There's entitlement and fucking ego in the way. And then once the women all came in, it was just like, it was like a death squad. You know what I mean? They were just fucking there, dude. And it was like, I was like, I'd always wanted that. And I got it. And I was like, I am the luckiest fucking dude in the planet. These people can execute this shit that I wrote, like, semi-poorly, and make it so much better. Yeah. And so, like, it sort of reinvigorated it, like, after that tour, because we had been kind of writing the record. And it was fairly done being written, but I had this, like, reassurance after they all kind of came on board, and it was really sick. It really inspired me, and the whole thing is really crazy. I mean, obviously, like, bands are so saturated now. Like, there's just so many. There's just so many, and I think I just hit this year. I will have been, like, in touring bands for 20 years because I'll be 38.
Yeah.
And I started touring right out of high school with, like, punk bands and shit and hardcore bands and whatever. And, like, Glaare is by far the most well-oiled machine I've ever gone out with, and it's weird because it's like Rachel and I. Like, it's a vision that we had, and sometimes, like, I'm like, I'm sick of this, and then, like, there's other times when you get so validated by it, and it's so inspiring, and, like, you're like, fuck, dude, this is special,
Yeah.
So, and that happened, and, like, good things have happened since that. My friend Nick Vicario, he's been in a bunch of cool bands, and he played on that song 2 Cents. He was in, like, Surfer Blood and a bunch of, bands, Smirk and solo project. was in this kind of indie rock band called Wild Ones out in Portland.
Mm-hmm.
And late last year, he came over and asked if we wanted to write with him. And so Rachel and I started a new project called White Bronco with him, in reference to the OJ getaway.
Yeah,
yeah. And it's weird. It's definitely an abandonment of where we've been. And so we pretty much finished that record, and we're like piecemeal sending it out to get mixed. And it's so cool, and I'm really proud of it. And it kind of goes from like traditional country to like trip hop and R&B and like a little Jesus and Mary chain, but it's a total departure.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the next thing. And then since Glaare is now on another label, I had to start making releases for that, and it's metal. Glaire's going metal.
There we go.
I wanted to. I wanted to, man. I think the last year has been really upsetting for people, and I don't feel sad anymore. I feel fucking pissed.
Yeah.
I feel fucking pissed for the way that people are treated and the inequality that's here, and I can't stand it. And it just feels like the right time to like evolve.
Yeah, it's funny. You're now officially the second person I've chatted with who's in a O.J. Simpson themed band. I'm grateful for that, but also, it's nice that you have so many outlets, and you can do different styles of music just based on, look, we did this, the last two albums, they were not fun for emotional, physical, all these reasons, and now you've evolved, and it's just like, now we have this vision of what we want to do, and we are angry, and I am super excited to hear all that. Yeah.
Thanks. It's two parts. Like I'm angry for one thing. I'm angry, and like I need to leave room for like my comrades in Glaare who are women to be fucking pissed.
Yeah.
And like I want to give them the vehicle for that, and then in White Bronco, I kind of want to have fun and make you fall in love, and I don't want to make people sad anymore. You know what I mean? Like, because it puts me in a place where I have to be perpetually sad to write Glaare. Like, I have to be perpetually sad. My wife and I both, and like living in the same house and writing sad music will fuck you up.
Yeah.
Like, it will, because we're accessing a very vulnerable place. So, I'm glad to get that over with. Like, it's been a lot for a long time, and like I don't want to embellish sadness or like romanticize it anymore. And I'm not a goth, dude. Like, I'm really not. I'm not a goth, dude. It's like a leather jacket's as far as I go. Rachel's not a goth. Like it just makes more sense for us to move on, and I just feel like, and I'm a metalhead, dude. Like I've been in metal bands forever. I play in Buried at Sea, which is like a kind of a cult doom band. Mm-hmm. And I play in Death Crux, which is like a death rock black metal band. Like I like metal. Rachel likes metal, and I think it's just time to shift gears here a little bit, and bring kind of like the industrial metal side to things. Stop the pity party.
Yeah, no, and like I said, I'm super excited to hear it, and I know, touching back on something you said earlier, how the members in your band just elevate your work. I feel like that is the recipe for not only a good band, but a good relationship in anything. You definitely want to surround yourself with people that are not only going to elevate your work, but you also have the capability of elevating them. It goes hand in hand.
Dude, it's fucking rad, because like I'm in the back. You can't even really see me. Like, I'm obsessed with Nine Inch Nails, and like I was like, what if we're baby Nine Inch Nails? So we have like a timed strobe rig, like white strobe rig on stage, and we try to cut everything. And so you can't really see me, which is fun. And I noticed, like, since like the female lineup really solidified, that the fucking front row at all of the shows have just been women, and they're fucking stoked, dude.
Yeah.
And it's powerful, dude. It puts me down. Like, it's powerful because women are connecting with them, because that's who's driving it. It's like, no matter what I do to make the song, these women are they're the one performing the art, dude, and they're doing it so well. And it's so cool for me to see, because like I feel like I release ownership of all this stuff when I'm playing it or you're listening to the record. It's not mine anymore. It's yours. And like on tour, seeing like those women connect, it's a big fucking deal, dude. It's a big fucking deal, because they've been so fucked up and marginalized for so long, you know. And it's like it needs to happen, dude. Like, it needs to happen. Like, you know how like important like Bikini Kill was and all that other shit. No matter, even if I don't really like their band, but I know what they were doing, and it's so awesome. And like having any inkling of that, and like I just feel fortunate, and I feel like I'm there for the ride. And like, you know, my wife can fucking sing, dude. It's so gnarly watching her sing. You know what I mean? Like, it's like a religious experience. So like watching her command like that and do that shit, and like those girls play the shit out of it, dude. It's so cool for me. Like I you know, like I'm the lucky one in the situation, and I'm proud of them, dude. So proud of them. It's crazy.
Nice. But I like what you're doing. I like what all of you guys are doing. I wish more music, more bands would take notice of what you're doing. But for the people at home who would like to keep up with everything that you're doing, the band's doing, White Bronco, you know, and like keep up with anything really, where can they do all that online?
Well, so Glaare is obviously online. White Bronco, we haven't launched like the platform yet, but it's gonna come soon. Like, we got to kind of figure out. I think we're gonna just do like the DIY Bandcamp, like a single kind of thing, very soon, and try to just get it out into the world. And we'll announce it really soon. It's just like we're just kind of getting our ducks in a row, and I don't want it to like take precedent over the cycle that's happening with Your Hellbound Heart. So we got to let that go, and then it will come out of the woodshed. And, you know, and that shit's fucking rad. I'm so stoked on it. And it's just such a different thing for us. And, like, Rachel's really, really shining in it. Like, she's like, evolved again in, like, this huge way. And, like, we definitely, like, with Nick, with our third member, it's like we've found this really cool symbiosis. And it's just a different feeling for me. Like, I love Glaare. And I love this in a different way, and I think it's just satisfying two different emotions, like a left-right brain thing.
Yeah.
And like I have some of my other projects, and some, you know, there's some other shit I'm doing in the works, and produce some stuff for this band Echo Beds that I'm friends with. They're an industrial band from Denver, and you know, I'm all over the fucking place, dude. I directed some videos for this metal band, Persecutor, and like, and I'm all over the place all the time, dude. Like, it's hard to keep me focused, but eventually, like, I, you know, spit something out, and I like being involved in all that stuff. Like, if I can lend my talent to it and keep my horizons broad, but like, essentially, the stuff that my wife and I do together is like a religious experience. Like, I'm so grateful for it, and we've cultivated over years and gotten better with it. And you know, I'm her biggest fan, so it's you know, it's great. It's great. Yeah. I'm a lucky dude.
There you go. And you know, and I really do appreciate the fact that you can actually take a look outside of that and realize where you are in life. I feel like that's lost on a lot of people.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it really is.
Brandon, thank you so much for making time to chat with me. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Oh, anytime you want to come back on and just shoot the shit, oh, please. Yeah, you have an open
invitation. Oh, dude, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, let's do it again, man. Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
All
right.
Hit
me up.
We'll do. We'll do.
All right. Maybe when the Bronco shit comes out, I'll come and talk some shit about, like, why I like country music now.
I look forward to that day.
Nice. All right, man.
All right. You
continue have yourself to stay. A good one.
Yeah, you too. Continue to stay safe and healthy, all right?
Absolutely. Likewise.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, man. Have a good one. Bye.